Good morning, everyone. And I'm so glad to see that this many of you got here in this drippy weather. We're really lucky today to have Pravrajika Vedaprana and Pravrajika Vedaprana from San Francisco here with us. And they're going to be talking about the Isha Upanishad and the Kena Upanishads. Now we all know, excuse me, I just ran up the hill. We all know that the Upanishads are the basic foundation of our entire philosophy. This is where we get our philosophy. The realizations of the seers of ancient times. Not things they learned from books, things they realized for themselves with meditation. So many of us kind of go, oh, well, it's the Upanishads, myself included for quite a while. But this is the very basis of our entire philosophy and what we're doing here. So this morning, Pravrajika Vedaprana will be discussing the Isha. She'll talk for a while, we'll have her break so you can think things over, get a cup of coffee, have a snack, and come back in for questions and answers and discussion. Then we'll take a break for lunch. We'll come, probably since it's a drippy day and not a huge outpouring in person, we'll have lunch down in the convent. And then after lunch, Swami Pravrajika Vedaprana will discuss the Kena Upanishad, another one that is, these are the very basics of Vedanta. It'll be a talk for about an hour, and then another break to revive ourselves. The San Francisco nuns made some delicious coffee cookies, coffee chocolate cookies that we're giving you to keep you awake. Okay. And then we will come back in for discussion, questions, and answers. Anything you have there. Both are extremely knowledgeable and can answer questions beautifully. Okay? Yes. Unlike me, who goes, I don't know. So without any further ado, Pravrajika Vedaprana. And I'm sure you'll recognize them because they've been here before for our gatherings. Either way.
Good morning.
I'm just going to say one thing. Stay about 9 inches.
Like this?
Yeah,
Is that good?
that's good.
That's good?
I'm sure.
Everybody can hear me? Okay. Well, I'm very thankful to have this opportunity to come here. This is a very, very special place. So, here we go. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. The invisible is perfect, whole. The visible is perfect and whole. From the perfect has come. The perfect having come out of the perfect alone remains. That's the peace chant of the Isha Upanishad. This Upanishad has only 18 verses, and today we'll just cover 6 of them, and mainly just the first 2. Mahatma Gandhi said of the first verse, if all the spiritual world scriptures were to disappear, and only this first verse was left to us, the whole essence of spiritual instruction would still be available to us. So here's the first verse. Everything that is passing in this changing, ephemeral world must be enveloped with Isha, the Lord. By this renunciation, we will truly enjoy. Do not covet the wealth of anyone. So the Upanishad is saying we shouldn't stop at the passing surface of things, including ourselves, but try to reach the presence of God in ourselves and everywhere. Now, what is this passing? There really are three levels of existence in our existential world, our life here. The outer world we call material, and so we call it matter. Matter, as you know, is also energy. And so the outer world, to our perception, looks static. The things, the senses, the things of the senses look solid to us. Then there's a subtler level of energy, of matter. It's called mind. And mind, our minds, they are also matter. They're also passing, but they're moving at a much swifter, much faster realm of motion. But there are minds, and there's still matter. Then there's a third element, which is the spiritual. And it is unpassing and unmoving, the very heart of us. In fact, is completely unaffected by the passing and the moving. And this spiritual essence of ourselves is what the Upanishad is instructing us to find. Because we can live in this world in a spiritual way. Every single one of us. And that's the purpose of the Upanishads. So, back to what the Upanishad is saying, because it's speaking to us now. Yes, everything is passing in this ephemeral world. Everything. And everything in ourselves is also passing. How do we know that? Our thoughts, our reactions to things. They're passing. What we thought yesterday, what we reacted to yesterday, where is it now? It's passing. So both mind and this outside matter, what we call the world of matter, everything truly is passing. But how do we know that it's passing? This is the spiritual element in ourselves, and it is not passing, but we have identified with the passing, and Vedanta will tell us this. The mind and the body that we have, our minds and bodies, are our instruments. They are not us. They are to be used by us. What for? To realize God, to realize our spiritual self. That's what they are. That's what they're meant to do. And so we have a deeper self, or a deeper mind within us. The mind part is still matter, but it's so ultra fine that to us it's truly unmoving. And when we think of it, it's very obvious. You have to have something unmoving to reflect movement. Otherwise you could not. If you told me, I want to see your face, and I held up a mirror, and I was going like this with it, you'd say, hold it still. Then you can see your face. So our true intelligence is completely unmoving, truly unmoving and unaffected. And in that way, all our life is reflected in it. We're concentrated there. And And so we catch all those reflections. And here's the thing, here's our the self again of us. The kind of us that we have now, Sri Ramakrishna terms the unripe ego, or our unripe self, our immature selves. It's our passing selves. It's our surface self. And so if intelligence is completely left to itself, completely, then we see, we will experience, we will actually see this, that it's reflecting for us if we let it reflect for us, the whole ocean of spiritual light, the ocean of God, that's within us. Now that sounds ridiculous. We have this little heart here, the heart or whatever, within us, where? And so there are 3 levels of space. Besides matter and energy, we can talk about space. There's the outer space. This is where we are now, in this space. There is the mental space. We know our mental space, that's our thoughts and everything. And it's huge, if you think of it. We can think about China, we can think about Ukraine, if we care to think about Ukraine, and all the rest. That's mental space. Then there's even a deeper, finer space. In fact, we can't really even describe it in our terms. That is called the spiritual space. And the spiritual space permeates and encompasses all these other 2 spaces, all these spaces, the physical space and the mental space. And so the Vedanta seers say our individual self, the seat of it is in the space, the spiritual space of our hearts. And let me see now, before I go on here. So this self of ours is the kingpin that really the Upanishads focus on. What we are now and how we are experiencing what we're experiencing, what we're seeing as we experience. And another way of, or a better way of talking about this unripe ego is that the unripe ego feels very small and incomplete and is always reaching and wanting something outside of itself. That's why it's an unripe ego and not a ripe self. And so if we really know this intelligence of ours as unmoving and unchanging, completely unaffected by all the moving, if we know that and we see this ocean of light, see is not the right word, experience this ocean of light within us, we will realize that it's the same, that our little individual self, it's the source for us, and it's the source for everyone else. We're the same there. We're the same in that ocean. It doesn't mean we disappear. We just know our roots, where we're really, really, really the core of us, the real essence of us. So, but the problem is we don't make use of our intelligence in this kind of way, in this way of all-encompassing way. So how do we ordinarily make use of our intelligence? We have lots of likes and dislikes, and we're trying to make the good episodes of our life stand still, so we can keep them as they were in their particular moments of time. So we have cameras. But cameras aren't conscious. We're the living conscious ones. We move, and our living experiences move on. So what does our intelligence do? We use it like a camera. It gives us still life images of our ever-moving sense experience. and we take up the images we especially like and put them in our inner photo album. We use our intelligence to selectively hold on to our preferences in the passing stream of life. We are covering the passing, changing world with what we want to be unpassing and unchanging. And the Upanishad is going to tell us, it's not possible. Intelligence doesn't need to be used in this way. It can reveal to us the inner light of God in everything and in everyone. We have given the desire go-ahead to our outgoing mind and senses to grab and hold on. Then the outer mind and senses control us, and we identify with them as ourself. The Upanishad is saying we cannot touch the passing world in this possessive way. We can look at the whole universe with non-covetous eyes. If we don't paint over the senses with the prospect of indulging ourselves, they don't put a cloud between our sight and our clear inner mirror. We can never really make the passing unpassing. The passing is passing. Yet, it really is the poignant prayer of our human hearts to do just that. Even Holy Mother fell into its clutches when Sri Ramakrishna was dying of throat cancer at Kasipur Garden House. She went to a Shiva temple and to pray for his recovery. She vowed no sleep, no drink, no sleep until Lord Shiva answered her prayer. We know what happens. On the second night, she hears this loud cracking noise, like a heavy cudgel is striking a heap of baked earthen pots. It startles her. She exclaims, "What am I doing? Who is husband? Who are relations?" So she's filled with very deep dispassion, and she returns to Kasipur, where Sri Ramakrishna is waiting for her, though she hadn't told him of her errand. So he says to her plainly, "Well, you didn't get anything, did you? Nothing is real, isn't it?" What wasn't real? It was only expecting this world's passing forms would somehow not be passing. That was not being realistic. The cudgel broke, the earthen pot's outer forms, Sri Ramakrishna's visible human body would soon pass away. Now, in Mother's case, she was aware of the heart's inner mirror, of this divine light that was not affected by our outer longings. It is absolutely unattached to all the passing and changing in us and around us, our stable ground. But Mother demonstrated that being aware of this inner mirror did not mean she wouldn't have deep grief, deep feeling. It did mean she had the unfailing support of the true essence of deep detachment. And it's the truth that the greatest detachment gives the greatest power of attachment, the greatest power to truly love and give and serve. Spiritual practices gradually train our minds to go inward. We become masters of mind and senses, our instruments. We transcend their constant outer pulls that we ourselves have initiated. Our senses don't have to be run on selfishness. We can wean ourselves away from using them selfishly. we begin to feel the higher discriminating presence, the unifying presence of intelligence. And stillness comes into our senses and outreaching mind. We begin to touch this outer world with inner understanding. We detach from the surface of ourselves and the world. We attach to feeling the presence of God, our true self. So, verse 1 continues, by this renunciation we will enjoy. Renunciation of what? Our short-sightedness, our peculiar attitude, our sense of possessiveness, sense of expectation from things and people. And the last phrase is, do not covet the wealth of anyone. As Holy Mother simply puts it, this world belongs to God. If this is true, there isn't much point in coveting any part of it to possess personally, but we tend to do just that automatically. We sort of unconsciously assume that we can't enjoy anything if we've given it up. If we don't possess it, how can we enjoy it? And this Upanishad is sharply rapping our grabbing fingers. Do not covet the wealth of this passing world. There is a tried and true way to really enjoy. What we possess and enjoy, we actually don't enjoy. We are being enjoyed by that possession. And this is a story probably many of you have heard before in the Indian tradition. There was an old monk clambering up a very, very steep hill and had to keep stopping for rest. In exhaustion, he prayed, "Oh, Rama, could you please give me a horse?" And a horse appeared before him. He was very thankful. He climbed on, sighing with relief, and urged the horse on. But the horse didn't move. Again and again, he tried to coax it to move. No luck. What to do? Rama had given him a horse, and now it belonged to him. There was only one thing to do, to continue up the hill. He lifted the horse on his own shoulders and inched his way forward. "Oh, Ram, you misunderstood me. I asked for a horse to ride, not a horse to ride me." And it is a fact of our lives. We truly don't possess anything. We think we do. We don't possess persons, things, monies, name, fame, even our own bodies. We take care of them, feed them, bathe them, clothe them, and put them to bed. They keep us in perpetual service. And at the same time at the time of death, they just quit us. We're not the consumers. We're being consumed. If we don't have the idea of ownership, this element of self-consumption goes away. Otherwise, we feel incomplete and divided. I don't have that yet. Well, the outside will bring it to me. We become bound by our dependence on externals. What if we stop expecting the world current to pause and stop for us so that we can take some part of it to personally possess? What kind of world would we experience with what sort of I sense, self-sense? It is possible to live this way, not that it is easy for us. How do we react to the variety of people and forms in this world? Usually, we go after what we like and avoid what we don't like. Sri Ramakrishna calls likes and dislikes the two highwaymen because they rob us of clear sight. If we grow in a detachment from depending on certain sets of externals that we especially favor, people and possessions, when we do grow in this detachment, do we have to give them up? Is that? No, not necessarily. We just must know that they really don't belong to us. This world belongs to God. So if we can rise out of ego preference and learn deeper ego absorption, and it's an art to learn, absorbing ourselves, forgetting our little selves in what is before us with openness of heart, acceptance of heart. Because ego absorption means it's the beginning of absorbing ourselves in this ocean of divine light that is truly within us and that is our true self. We begin to feel the true source of our selfhood. We're practicing not putting a stamp on things, stating what we expect in return from them. A feeling of unity grows in our relation to everyone and everything and gives us the richest experience because we have a taste of our spiritual being. We find an infinite dimension in anything if we break the barriers of our own self-imposed separateness. We can't come to the end of the most mundane task when our heart, our inner mirror of light, is concentrated there. If we take even a grain of sand and persist in concentrating on it, we will be lost in the perfect, in the whole. This is the world of constant difference and change, and it will always be so. Unity doesn't exist on the surface. We have to go into the heart of the external to find it, not cover the passing external with our passing external. And here's another story probably everyone's heard. There was a king who decided he wanted to see everything green. He gave an order to paint everything green in the kingdom. Well, the people loudly complained, but the king's minister knew what to do. He had some green-tinted glasses made for the king to wear. And so we change our perception, not anything on the outside. We learn to see with the eye of heart, of the eye of our hearts, with the eye of true knowledge. That is the best tinted lens to use because it never fades away. As we progress in this feeling of unity, we can meditate on the whole universe as the person of God. All these forms and expressions are the living presence of God. Lord, inside all and outside all. Just as fish live in water, just as birds fly in the sky, we are surrounded by the immeasurable being of God. Verse 2, only performing work in this world, we should wish to live the full span of life, which they call as 100 years, in case you'd like to know that. We won't be subject to the consequences of work if we live renouncing our small ego and seeing the Lord in everything. Then work will not cling to us. What are those consequences? On a universal scale, not just individual, these are actions' inevitable dividends, the good and the bad fruits, and the rebirths resulting from them. As individuals, we collect our share. If we renounce our ego-impelled actions, our separate sense of possessiveness, possessive agency, action will lose its nature to bind us. We are not caught by what we do, but by what we expect from outside. The Rishi of the Upanishad extols us to work through our 100 years of life. We are expected to be active. The word used is eva, verily, indeed working. I expect to see you working. You'll see. Work won't bind you. if you work in the right way. Some feel that the whole of the Bhagavad Gita is a commentary on the first and second verse of the Isha Upanishad. Krishna makes some things clear about remaining active. If we still have personal, unfulfilled desires, we will be forced to act. Beings follow in the wake of their own nature. What will restraint do? So if we say, I don't want to act, I want to sit still, we find we can't. We begin to squirm, and then we begin to feel kind of frozen. We want to stretch ourselves a bit. We find our minds won't let us just sit there. So here, it is the condition of our minds. If we have unfulfilled desire, then our minds have restless energy, outgoing energy. And Krishna speaks of those who don't have many unfulfilled desires. What if we've conquered our restless nature so that we feel we don't have to be active? Krishna says, even then, we should be active for the well-being of others. He cites his own example. I don't lack anything. I don't have to work. And yet if I were inactive for a single moment, the whole universe would become extinct. So he shows a way of acting for the good of our being and for the good of all other beings. Because we're not separate and isolated from one another, we live in an interdependent world. When we're in the midst of action with people, our actions become a mirror to ourselves through those around us. Work itself tells us what we are now through our actions. Sitting and thinking itself is also an action. But external activity brings an external mirror. If we sit aside, avoiding actions, thinking all wonderful thoughts, Krishna comes and taps us on the shoulder. Get up. Hey, over there, your people. Go and join in. Bring all your wonderfulness there and see how it feels. As Sri Ramakrishna said, I see God with eyes closed and I see God with eyes open. So long I live, so long I learn. So look around and see that our individuality, the inner light of our individuality, is also the inner light of universal individuality, God immanent everywhere. Go forward. Our horizons will keep on expanding. In a talk that Swami Vivekananda gave on practical Vedanta in London, he said, the ideal is intense activity in the midst of eternal calmness. He was speaking to a whole cross-section of people, not just those who had a glimpse of something deeper in themselves. Contemplation can be infused into action. The deep stillness in ourselves can be threaded through every single one of our daily actions. And here is a perfect example in the way that Holy Mother instructed her disciples, encouraging them to simply commune with God while living in the world. Swami Madhavananda, the 9th president of the Ramakrishna Mudden Mission, was her disciple. One day a young monk complained to him about his extremely busy schedule. All the books say one's mind should be absorbed in God like a continuous flow of oil from one vessel to another. Now you tell me how that's ever possible when you have hundreds and hundreds of daily chores, on, one after the other. The Swami was quiet for a moment, and then he picked up an empty application form and he pointed to the line at the bottom for the applicant's signature. Tell me what this is. It's a line. But look again. Well, it's a straight line. No, look closer. It's a dotted line. It's a dotted line. Yes. In between the various daily chores, there are a good number of gaps, intervals of free time. In those bits of time, fill in with japa. You will be constantly keeping your thoughts directed towards God, and you will have the effect of continuous remembrance of Him, like an unbroken flow of oil. Mother had told the Swami that how she had practiced japa throughout the small gaps of her 20-hour workaday life. Mother felt the reality of her japa. It was the living, sustaining force of her life. So we are really bundles of inner stillness and outer activity. I mean, and inner stillness and outer motion. If we persist in working without a motive for our personal comforts and conveniences, even-mindedness grows in us. We are more and more able to remain the same, whether things are going to our liking or not. To remain the same in all the ups and downs of our physical and mental conditions, our ever-changing, ever-passing physical and mental conditions. Verse 2 is saying, is if we live in the spirit of verse 1, action will not be able to bind us. That's the focus here. How do we do what we do? There is a saying, life is an eternal I think I have to have a drink of water. I'm too hoarse. Just a moment, please. Let me do this here. Okay. Now let me see if I don't knock it off. There's a saying, life is an eternal conjugation of the verb to do. We are doing, doing, doing. We come again and again to a world of existence like this. A sphere of doing, accomplishing outwardly, of selecting experiences, of possessing and storing them for our use, a world to continue engaging in the outreach of our karma. So we think, here this is all our unripe egos, our unripe self, so we think we're doing the conjugating. Sooner or later we begin to feel very tired of our doing life. So these two verses teach the essence of renunciation, to give up coveting personally anything in this passing world, including our own fruits of actions, coveting personally anything in this passing world, we become more and more free of our separately divined ego self and begin to recognize that actions proceed from a far deeper source within us. In the 18th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna tells Arjuna, "The Lord dwells in the hearts of all beings, Arjuna, causing them by his Maya to revolve as though mounted on a machine. Take refuge in him with all thy heart. You will know supreme peace and attain the eternal abode." To whom do our personal stories really belong? Are we the real agents of our own actions? Krishna is saying everything is being done by the one who dwells in the center of our being. This is the God in our hearts called Antaryamin, the inner controller, whose universal expression is the Sutratma, the thread soul. Krishna, So this mover of our life, this light of our hearts, is threaded through and through all the beings, all the forms of this universe. We can learn to think and feel this way. All this universe is strung on me, says Krishna. As a row of jewels on a thread. Can we picture Divine Mother threading a beautiful necklace for herself with all of these jewels of forms? Does she reject any of them? No. She sees every single form as a jewel, and it goes onto her beautiful divine necklace. So Arjuna's instruction is to take refuge in that Lord who is the real mover of our life and all lives, who is threading all our lives together. It is a powerful way not to be trapped in our own mind and body, to begin to feel that action does not proceed from our surface sense of agency, but from a deep source within us. To say, take refuge in God, rely on God, is a way of saying, find what is unchanging in ourselves and see the same unchanging around us. Swami Vivekananda in Aspired Talks says we are bounded by our skin sky. There is a saying, the sky's the limit. We don't like being fenced in by a skin sky. The fencing makes us divided, outside our body, inside our body. Here's this huge universe outside us. We become like tiny specks. Now it's okay to be a tiny speck if we're part of a huge, huge whole. But to just be a tiny separate speck, we don't like to feel so tiny. So we latch on to things outside, and then our inside feels bigger. All that we latch onto becomes my possession. It becomes part of me. It belongs to me. This is how Sri Ramakrishna speaks of the unripe ego. There is a description of desire that fits in here. Our true spiritual self exists behind both subject and object, both inside and outside. We sense in the outside, whether in people or things, the presence of our spiritual self. So we run after the outside, trying to regain our own true, undivided being. So, take refuge in me, Arjuna. Keep reminding ourselves, as Holy Mother says, the world belongs to God. All our possessions actually are Lord's possessions, everything about us. Our personal stories, our skin sky covering, every detail of the work before us, every detail belongs to God. How much care must be taken in fulfilling those desires, those details. And another talk of Swami Vivekananda is called Work and Its Secret. He says, one of the greatest lessons I have learned in my life is to pay as much attention to the means of work as to its end. The means of work are God, and the end of work is God. Mother is the wire puller. We feel we are her marionettes. She is moving our head, torso, and limbs as she wills. It's a constant remembrance of who is really in charge. Now, this is speaking in the language of devotion. And you can also say these same things, the same spirit behind in the language of the Atman, our true self, of knowing the Brihat, the infinite Brahman. But there's no ultimate point of view in this relative world. That's impossible. Two diametrically points of view both of them can be absolutely true at the same time. The measuring rod of what is true, what is really true, is in ourselves. It's how we make our point of view real to our lives, true in our lives. That's what makes a point of view true. Not in arguing about it, not in trying to make your point the best and oust someone else. It's how we live our lives. We have to know what our point of view is. and then stick to it and make it real in our lives. So I'm going to skip verse 3. It's really getting late, isn't it? Okay, we'll skip verse 3. Now, are you getting tired? Do you want a break soon? Because I still have these 4 other verses to do, and they're much shorter than the ones I've been doing. You can raise your hand as I'm talking, really, and just say, it's break time. Really, honestly, you can say that. Okay. The last 4 verses that I cover today are actually sets of 2 each. Verse 4 and 5 are describing our ultimate being. The ultimate of our individual self is termed Atman. And the ultimate of the universal self, the universal being, is termed Brahman. And then verse 6 and 7 describe what happens to a person who has realized the ultimate being, realized that ultimate being in themselves. Verse 4, the self, ekam, one, is unmoving, faster than the moving mind. Having preceded the mind, it is beyond the reach of the senses. Ever steady, it outstrips all that runs. By the self's, all that run, by the self's mere presence, it enables the cosmic energy to sustain the activities of living beings. That's a long verse. The self is unchanging reality. The self is absolutely unchanging, and that's not like the surface self of us. The self is all-pervading. On whatever the mind alights, it finds the light of our self already there. The senses are the outposts of the mind, and so they suffer from the same fate. Whatever they reach, the light of the self is already there. God, our self, is the all. There is no place where God is not. Where will God move to? We're moving. We go from place to place, so we think. We really aren't journeying in space and time, not from here to there. Our journey is not from not realizing ourselves, from not realizing ourselves to realizing ourselves. And so, verse 4 closes by saying, by the mere presence of this one, the cosmic energy is enabled to sustain the activities of living beings. The word for this energy is Matarishwan, literally meaning air. What is Matarishwan? Here is a living example. A Hindi-speaking Swami, Pranav Chaitanya Puri, who was a friend of Swami Sarvapriyananda, gave a talk in New York entitled Living Oneness. Swami Sarvapriyananda translated the talk as he went along. The Swami told of an experience he recently had while visiting London. He was taking a walk in the morning and came to a very steep hill. He was making his way slowly up, and he heard the pounding and felt the pounding of his heart. And then he saw a little flock of birds, I think they're pigeons, and they flew towards the top of the hill where there's some trees, and they alighted on the trees. And the Swami was watching this, and he felt, and he did something with his hands which was utterly enchanting. He said, he felt the heartbeats of those birds. And then the realization came to him. I'm huffing and puffing up this hill, and those birds, they had to fly all the way up to those trees. So, what is this energy? Pumping my heart and pumping the heart of those little birds. the same energy, causing, actually working the beats of his heart and the heartbeats of those little birds. It was the same energy, living energy, universal power beyond his doing. He was not individually doing it. Maybe I should skip this next thing because this goes so long. Well, there's the section in the Pravrajika Upanishad. It's very beautiful. It's a big section, many, many verses. I'm just going to cite one verse. It's describing the mutual unity of sweet helpfulness threading through the workings of our universe. It's a universal energy expressed in gradations of subtlety, and it permeates everything. And each verse has the same format. That's why only one will serve the purpose. This earth is like honey to all beings, and all beings are like honey to this earth. And so it is the same with the shining, immortal being who is in this earth, and the shining, immortal being, immortal corporeal being in our body. This self-knowledge is the means to immortality. This underlying unity is Brahman. This knowledge of Brahman is the means of becoming all. All this arises from the vast unmoving one, the Atman self, the Brahman all. We are at one end of the spectrum of experience, and we do want to link up with deeper and vaster realities. Verse 5, it moves, and it moves not. It is far, it is near. It is within all this and is outside all this. It moves not. In the ones, in the self's absolute state, it is unmoving. But in its conditioned state, relative state, it appears ever changing and moving, because movement is in relative existence. Movement is related to things around it. If movement stands alone, it is no longer movement. It is near, it is far. The more we grow in spiritual knowledge, the closer we find the presence of God, our own self. We find ourselves here and now in terms of space as well as time when we know ourselves. We are filled with this one and surrounded with this one. But if we feel God is far from us, we are still locked into our outer mind and senses, and we don't get it. So, these two verses are describing, and this one doesn't get it either, the one that's talking to all of you. Okay. These two verses are describing the nature of our ultimate being, our true self, is not the infinite many of our thoughts. It is the infinite one that is the reality of the many. In Inspired Talks, Swami Vivekananda, he says, we can catch anything in the net of our reasoning to demonstrate something to ourselves, but we can never catch God in a net. So we hitch our minds, we yoke our minds to ourself, to God. We hitch a ride with God. Because we're not just transcending our body consciousness, identity, we're transcending our mind's identity too, and that's the barrier. As our body is the barrier between what we think of as inside and outside, our mind is a barrier because of its thoughts. It's a barrier because the thoughts keep us flowing in the flow, keeps us feeling we're moving and we are changing. So we have to break the barrier of thoughts too, not just the body. It is within all this and also outside of all this. The self is all-pervading, inside and outside. So now, the Upanishad describes what happens to a person. What happens? What's their experience who has realized this ultimate being? The wise one in us, who perceives all beings as not distinct from our own self, and our own self as the self of every being, we cannot hate anyone. Perceiving, realizing all beings as not distinct from ourself, the self has been realized through our inner mirror of light, and our lighted individual self has merged in the ocean of light in the hearts of all, and perceives our life and perceives ourself as the self of every being. We perceive this one conscious essence as the witness of our particular body-mind combination, and we perceive the same witnessing consciousness in all other beings, from the highest to the lowest. No difference. We become same-sided. So, by the virtue of that perception, we don't hate anyone. Hate anyone? We don't reject anyone. We're not secretive. We don't hide from anyone, shrink from anyone. We don't deceive anyone. We don't fear anyone. We don't blame or judge anyone. We don't feel better than anyone or beneath anyone, etc. All these qualities have their basis in the sense of separateness. That sense of separateness makes us keen on how we are being appreciated everywhere. Why? Because we don't appreciate our real self enough. When the unity of the self is realized, these negative habits of attitude and behavior become like phantoms. There's no substance left in them. The last verse, the verse that we're doing today, and not very long either. Okay. What delusion, what sorrow is there for the wise one in us who sees the unity of existence and perceives all beings as ourself? Separation is the cause of delusion. Delusion is the cause of all the ills of our life. When we remove the cause, the troubles will drop as we move towards the experience of unity, of oneness. What is our understanding of sympathy? We put ourselves in the place of another. It's a good practice. Place ourselves in other forms. It is a fact. Same spirit exists everywhere. We are one, and unity is the truth. We consciously break through the barriers of our skin sky. We begin to feel from the domination of the body, its hungers and demands aren't gnawing at us so much anymore as we break through the domination of the body, and gradually we spill over and begin to feel that we are one with the other. We break through the barriers of mind. We feel other people's sufferings and happiness, sometimes more than feeling our own. When feeling for others, we have forgotten our little self. We don't really want to be imprisoned in clinging to our own comforts and conveniences. Separation is the cause of delusion, and it is the cause of our sorrow. The unripe ego sense in us is the sense of division, of disunity, of separation. What brings sorrow to us is what hurts us. If we have a pebble in our shoe hurting us, we remove the pebble and walk freely. Yes, the pebble was hurting our foot, and we remove it. We wouldn't call a pebble in our shoe a sorrow. It is a discomfort for our foot. The Upanishad is speaking of a deeper hurt. And we can use this, I'm not going to go into this, we can use this very, very familiar example that Advaita Vedanta uses a lot, about the snake and the rope. I'll just say now that it's saying, see, the rope is what's real in this world, and the snake, and we see it as a snake, and then we're all afraid, and all the things happen because we react to the rope as a snake. Okay. So I'm not going to go more further than that. So what is the snake in the way I'm talking about it? Okay, what is the snake? Our ego-centered selfishness. Our selfishness hurts us. Our selfishness runs on disunity. This hurt becomes subtler and subtler. There are tears that aren't visibly running down our cheeks. There are tears in our souls that we are always seeing. Remember, God is soul of our soul. Real self is soul of the soul. So this is our soul still in body and mind. There are tears in our souls that we don't always see and others don't see. An inner aching of our hearts. We have dreams of fulfilling certain things in our life. As time passes by, that fulfillment seems farther and farther away from our grasp. We want to be good, to do good, to help and to serve. But as time goes by, we feel we can never be good enough, never do enough, never help enough, never serve enough. We have deep-seated regrets for hurting others that we didn't mean, or maybe we did mean at that time. And then someone passes away before we have a chance to reconcile with them. The one we deeply loved is suddenly taken away from us. And the grand finale in the last years of our life, a feeling of not being needed anymore, of being overlooked and brushed aside by the present participants in life's ongoing drama. Swami Prameshananda in a letter sums up this root sorrow and delusion. Don't you see how we are burning to death in the fire of the house ego? If this enemy will only bow its head a bit, then somehow we can pass our days in peace. The house ego, the unripe ego, is the kingpin of all our delusion and sorrow. This is the last thing. There was a tremendously brilliant and loving acharya in the Belur Mutt training center who all the monks worshipped. Swami Sarvapriyananda tells of his experience with this teacher Swami who had had a stroke and was lying in bed at the Mutt's medical care center. The young Swami Sarvapriyananda went to ask him a question that he felt no one could answer as well. The Acharya looked at him so sweetly with shining eyes and was quiet for a while. Then he said, "You see, it is all gone. I don't know how to answer. Its task is done." There wasn't the least trace of sorrow in him, only blissful being. The passing is passing. The unpassing is never affected. We move away from root sorrow and delusion, and the changing world invites us to do just that. What delusion, what sorrow is there for us, the wise ones, who see the unity of existence and perceive all beings as ourself?